The new game from the current owners of the Disco Elysium IP very recently came out. I won't be playing it, and if you loved and understood Disco Elysium, I don't think you will either. If you aren't aware of the situation regarding the original creators being ousted from the company, I talked about all of that in a previous video, and I'll be leaving a link for that in the description. But the short version is that Zoom isn't a studio I want to support anymore. I know it can be incredibly hard to find a game that feels like Disco Elysium. Believe me, I get it. I've been looking for a long time, and Disco Elysium is still one of a kind experience for me. But there are games that come remarkably close, so I wanted to put together a few recommendations. Sort of a games you should play before you even consider playing Zoom's new game list. Also, to be clear, I'm not saying these games are the next Disco Elysium or that they will make you feel exactly the same way. Obviously, these are all different games made by completely different people. I just think these are the closest alternatives out there. Some of these games share that high quality of writing, some explore similar themes, and some have very relatable and flawed characters that feels like they're more than a video game character. And some capture that specific art style that feels really special to look at. So if you, like me, have been yearning for more disco, these might be the perfect substitutes. This list is as much for me as it is for you. I've already played some of these myself, while some are still on my list, and I'm excited to play them soon. Okay, I swear I will make actual recommendations, but I want to start off with the most obvious choice. Maybe you can literally just replay Disco Elysium for like the 5th time, if enough time has passed since your last playthrough. I mean, I know I definitely should. Of course, if you've already finished it over and over again and all the quotes are carved in your brain, this might not apply to you, but for most people, there's so much density in that script that it's impossible to catch everything in 1 or 2 playthroughs. Who knows, you might come across a new favorite quote, a weird interaction you missed, or a new thought you never unlocked. Since nothing else truly reaches that level of art, sometimes the best substitute for disco is just more disco. Okay, next up, which is technically still the first game recommendation of the video, we have Esoteric Ebb, a very promising title that actually just came out a couple months ago. The best way to describe this is basically medieval D&D Disco Elysium, or honestly, Discworld Elysium might be even more accurate. In this game, you play as the cleric, a government agent sent to investigate an explosion in a city right in the middle of an election week. The game definitely wears its disco influence on its sleeve. It's isometric, text-heavy, and also features an internal monologue system. But instead of something like the 24 skills from Disco, it uses the 6 classic D&D stats: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And these stats actually talk to you in your head just like Disco. They have their own personalities, they argue with each other, and they chime in during conversations to offer advice or make you do something stupid. While the gameplay loop feels very familiar, the tone is quite different. It's much more in line with Terry Pratchett's Discworld. It's comedic, satirical, and a bit more fun than the existential dread of Revachol, which, you know, maybe is better for the mental health. It also doesn't have that same soul-crushing political depth, but I heard that it's still a brilliant exploration of how real-world ideologies might look in a high fantasy setting. I'm so very excited to play this one soon because it's probably the closest game we've gotten to Disco in a while. Let me know if you'd like to watch me play it, and I can happily record my playthrough. Next up is another obvious choice, Citizen Sleeper. I love this game so much. If you want something that captures the feeling of getting lost in a very immersive sci-fi novel, this is it. It's a much smaller scale than Disco Elysium, and the theme is completely different, but I think the quality of the writing is incredible. You play as a sleeper, which is basically a digitized human consciousness in an artificial, decaying body owned by a corporation. You've escaped to a lawless, crumbling space station called Erlin's Eye. Just like in Revachol, you're an outsider trying to survive in a place that feels like it has a long, heavy history. And again, the gameplay is all reading, and the prose is so good that you easily get lost in the atmosphere of the station. It really feels like reading an amazing sci-fi book. Every in-day game, you roll a set of dice, and you have to decide how to spend them. Do you use your high rolls to work and earn money for food? food, or do you risk a low roll to help a friend knowing it might lead to your body breaking down further? You get so attached to the characters, from the engineer trying to fix your frame to the bar owner just trying to keep their business afloat. It's a game about finding humanity and community in a cold capitalist void. It's quite a short game, about 8 hours long, but the good news is that there's actually a second game, Starward Vector. It's a completely different story with new characters and even deeper mechanics, so if you enjoy the first game, you basically have another amazing story you can immediately get into. I'd say these games are the perfect way to scratch that itch for a deep narrative-driven RPG, and I highly recommend them. Then we have Pentiment, a game that I unfortunately still didn't play, but I keep hearing about it and I just know I'd love it, like I'm sure of it, so I hope I can get to it soon. So Pentiment is a game about the weight of history and the power of stories. It's set in 16th century Upper Bavaria and you play as Andreas Mahler, a journeyman artist who gets caught up in a series of murders over 25 years. I think the first thing you'll notice with this one is the art. Or at least that was the first thing that I noticed. It's designed to look like an illuminated manuscript and it's so beautiful. Just like most other games on this list, there is no traditional combat here. It's all about investigation and conversation. You often have to make accusations or decisions without having all the facts, and then you have to live with the fallout of those choices for decades. It explores class struggle, religious tension, and the way a community changes over time. I keep hearing amazing things about it, like how deeply intellectual and brilliantly written it is, so while it's not really a disco-like, I think it's definitely a game people who enjoyed Disco Elysium would appreciate. The next game I want to talk about is The Pillars of the Earth. I actually played this before I ever even played Disco Elysium, and the story has absolutely stuck with me through all these years. It's one of my favorite games ever. It's based on Ken Follett's massive book, and there's also a TV miniseries they made years ago you might have seen. But today we're gonna talk about the game. So this is set in 12th century England during a time of civil war, famine, and religious power struggles. The story follows the construction of a cathedral in the fictional town of Kingsbridge, and it spans decades. You play as 3 different characters: Jack the outsider artist, Aliena the noblewoman, and Philip the monk. Their lives all become intertwined through this one massive project. The gameplay is really simple. It's a classic point-and-click adventure, and there is no dice rolling or complex stat checking like in Disco, but what there is an amazing narrative. The writing is incredibly mature. It deals with poverty, corruption in the church, and the way ordinary people get crushed by the whims of kings and bishops. I think it kinda has that same feeling of being a small person caught in the gears of an uncaring system. The art style is also top-notch. Every scene is a piece of art and could easily be your new wallpaper, and it perfectly captures the grime and the beauty of this medieval world. Oh, and you get to make choices. Some of these are just small dialogue choices, and some are really important big choices that can change the story. From what I remember, the choices don't affect things that much, but they still do to some extent. But you know, don't expect something like Detroit. I recommend just going in expecting an amazing story, and the rest will be a bonus. So if a story that's epic in scale but deeply personal in its character writing sounds good, you have to play this. Then there is Norco, which I feel is one of the closest games to Disco Elysium in terms of its tone. I actually already wrote a long review for this one, and I'm just gonna read that to you because I already said everything I want to say there. Almost all the reviews I read of Norco talk about how if you love Disco Elysium, you would probably love this too. Even just reading random quotes from Disco Elysium is enough to cheer me up and give me goosebumps, so I was excited to see if Norco would fill the aching gap Disco Elysium left in me. While I do see where the comparisons come from, I think the two games have completely different tones. Disco Elysium gives me hope. Even when everything is falling apart, it has this weird warmth to it. Norco felt darker and heavier. It's less about finding connection and more about grief, memory, and returning to something that no longer fits. That said, I loved it. The setting is incredibly rich, a southern sci-fi landscape full of industrial decay, religious imagery, and surreal moments that somehow all work together. It has this deep, swampy atmosphere that wraps around you. Visually and emotionally, it sticks. And the writing, when it hits, it really hits. I think what makes a narrative game great is how it gets you to care about the characters, and I ended up caring a lot about people I never even expected to like. Norco even has a party system like in RPG games, which isn't a mechanic we see a lot in point-and-click adventure games. The addition of it here really helped those connections with the characters grow. Is Norco a new favorite of mine? No, because there were moments that felt like a bit of a reach, and some of the writing didn't always speak to me, but it is definitely an experience I will remember, one that really left its mark on me. While Norco didn't replace Disco Elysium in my heart, it echoed in a similar place. So yeah, I wrote that review last year and it worked perfectly for this video, so I'm glad. Next up is a true classic, which is Planescape Torment. It feels almost weird to even recommend this because it's such a cornerstone of the genre, but it's quite an old game from 1999, before I was even born, so I think a lot of people might only know it by name or maybe might need a reminder. And I'm also embarrassed to say this is actually a game I haven't even played yet because the length always intimidated me. I'm a really slow reader and also a slow gamer that likes to take their time checking every single nook and cranny, so these types of games usually take me double the average playtime, if not the triple, but also I kinda like that. I feel like it makes me help to really savor games, and knowing I'll likely love this one means I have this massive, long experience waiting for me whenever I'm ready to dive in. So I believe Planescape Torment was one of the primary influences for the Disco Elysium team. You play as the Nameless One, an immortal who has lived countless lives but has forgotten all of them. You wake up on a mortuary slab and have to figure out who you are and why you can't die. Just like Harry, you are a protagonist defined by your past, your amnesia, and your internal philosophy. The world is surreal, bizarre, and deeply philosophical. The main difference is the setting. While Disco is more realistic and kind of reads like a lit fic, Planescape is high-concept dark fantasy. But it's the direct ancestor of the type of storytelling we love in Disco Elysium, and I actually can't wait until I have just a bit of time to separate myself from reality and finally play this game. The next and the final recommendation of the video is a game I keep coming across, which is Kentucky Route Zero. I've been often seeing this game mentioned ever since I first googled games like Disco Elysium back when I first finished the game in 2019. I don't even know why I still haven't played it. The fact that I consistently keep coming across it means there must be something really special to it. So Kentucky Route Zero is a magical, realist adventure about a secret highway running through caves beneath Kentucky and the mysterious people who travel it. It started as an episodic journey and took years to complete, and it has since gained quite a reputation for being one of the best written games of the last decade. What connects this to Disco isn't necessarily the gameplay mechanics, as there are no stats or dice rolls here, but it's the tone and the themes. It's a game about the death of small town America and people who are haunted by their pasts. Many people say it captures that same sense of melancholy hope that we find in Revachol. It deals with the way capital and corporate interests hollow out communities, leaving people to wander through the ruins. I think it sounds really interesting. I'm very excited to finally play some of these games instead of the new Zone game. I hope the list was helpful, and I hope you can find the disco feeling in the weird, satirical streets of Esoteric Ebb, in the vacuum of Citizen Sleeper, and in the hand-painted history of the Pillars of the Earth, or in legends like Planescape, or the New Blood like Norco. I also want this video to be a reminder that you don't have to play Zero Parades just because you missed Disco Elysium. There are many other similar games you can play, with even more disco likes being developed right now, like Hope Town or Glass House. It's really easy to support a studio that treats its creators like people and doesn't steal from them. I would love to hear what other games you would add to this list, or if you've played any of these before and your thoughts on them. If you haven't watched my other video about Zero Parades yet, it's linked in the description. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you hopefully decide to stick around, I'll see you in a few days with a new video. Until then, take care and remember, you are a violent and irrepressible miracle. The vacuum of cosmos and the stars burning in it are afraid of you.